With me now to talk about this is science broadcaster and educator Dr Emily Grossman, who had her eggs frozen early this year. She's 38, and also fertility expert Professor Geeta Nargund, who's medical director at Create Fertility. Good to see you both. Emily, why?
Since my mid-30s, the pressure to have children just began to get really intense. All my friends around me were having babies, and as I got later on into my late 30s, and I wasn't in the position to do that, not being in a relationship, I saw women around me who were rushing into new relationships just because of that pressure to have a child was so intense, or waiting till their early 40s, meeting Mr. Right, and then realising that they were really struggling to conceive. And I just knew that I wanted to have a family at some point, but I didn't want to rush into it until I was ready to do it.
Have you thought about doing it another way, maybe a sperm donor, that sort of thing?
I've thought about it, but I still feel like I'm young enough, hopefully, to do it naturally and to do it the natural way, if at all possible, but to have my eggs frozen so I've got a kind of backup. I know it's not foolproof, but to have a backup for something in the future.
Well, we'll talk about whether it's foolproof or not, because Rita Ora there, Geeta, said, put them away and forget about them. Is that really the right way to think about this?
No, absolutely not. Egg freezing is here to help women preserve their fertility, no two ways about that. And with recent technology called vitrification, which is the fast freezing method, the success rates have gone up. And
yes, and I just want to press you on that because, you know, we hear some figures bandied around, around that frozen eggs, once then thawed out, can lead to babies within sort of 15% of cases, but it's much better than that, you think, these days. And Emily's nodding furiously at this.
Yeah, it's much better than that, because with the old freezing method, the rates were lower.
But
now with the fast freezing method called vitrification, the survival rates could be as high as 90% with thawing eggs.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they are taking babies home, but the success of egg freezing depends on the age of the eggs at the time of freezing. So younger the women, the higher the success rate.
But really, it's about 40%, is that right, at the moment?
For younger women.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is it's a backup, it's not a guarantee. And it's not in women in early 20s to be talking about egg freezing. We are talking about women who are 30 or early 30s, where if they are not ready, that they should make an informed decision about it.
Because fertility drops off quite significantly after the age of 35.
Massively. I mean, it halves going from 35 to 38, I believe, and then halves again from 35 to 40, it halves, and it halves again from 40 to 42. So if you have your eggs frozen, ideally younger than me, from 35 upwards, and it's a 40% success rate. If you have your eggs frozen at 35, it drops down to about 32 at my sort of age, and then 22 as you get into your early 40s. But it's certainly higher than this 15% that's been, as you say, bandied around.
So it's an insurance that you've taken out, but it's, 40% or slightly less for you, that it's still, it's sort of a chance.
That's why people do more than one cycle.
Which, how much is it costing you then?
It's cost a lot of money. I've done 3 cycles because that's the recommendation, because as you say, 40%, 30% isn't great for one cycle. But if you do several cycles, it's like having several rounds of IVF. A lot of women don't conceive on the first round of IVF or don't have a healthy baby, but they'll do a few rounds. So yes, it's expensive, but then how expensive, what's worth paying to have a child in the future?
Is there a point that, Geeta, that some women are using this as a safety net, and therefore, well, in all areas, if you have a safety net, you'll be tempted to use it and perhaps take your eye off doing it another way?
Yeah, well, I would really be sad if women are doing that, because really women should try naturally when they're ready. There's nothing better than natural conception. The most common reason for egg freezing is not having a suitable partner to have a baby with, but women need to make an informed decision, because it's, after all, a medical procedure. And what we have achieved is, as regards to safety and efficacy, it's improved significantly, and it's given women an option to preserve their fertility, but it's no guarantee, and success rates depend on the age of the woman at freezing. So it's very important that we give the message to women that don't use it as a lifestyle choice unless, use it if you really have to. But the important thing is to get all the information. And if you can afford to do that, and you've got the full medical information, and if you're happy with it, then explore the opportunity to preserve.
Clearly, it's good of Rita Ora to start this conversation, but as we're hearing, Emily, you have to look into it properly and know exactly what you're doing and have the money to pay for it as well.